Welcome to Prompts to Profits, Gain Tactical Tuesday. We're going to talk about how to practically use artificial intelligence in your business. We're going to leave today. We've got an expert here, Kristen Carter, with an overview of what's happening in the AI space, what's the difference between Grok and ChatGPT and Perplexity, right? And then how can you start using this and what should we be using this for? And if you don't understand, you're not using it at a high level, congratulations. As Kristen said, we were chatting yesterday, there's people that still don't really understand how to use Facebook. Like there is a lot of technological disruption happening. Things are happening quickly. So Kristen Carter runs one of the largest AI mastermind groups for ChatGPT and AI.
In the real estate space, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
10,800 members. She is a real estate agent out in Phoenix. Kristen, I don't know if I know this. How long have you been an agent? Before we jump into AI, how long have you been an agent? How'd you get into the game?
It'll be 8 years this fall.
Okay.
And kind of accidentally. I was actually a professional photographer prior to real estate, and I was tired of running my own business all by myself. And so I had a really good friend in real estate, and I took her to lunch one day and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting my license. Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Like, we know those conversations. We've had them with people. So she actually told me, no, it sounds like a great idea. You'd be a really good fit. And I'm getting ready to grow my team. So that was 8 years ago, and I'm still on the same team with the same amazing partner. Melanie Nemitz is great. And then we've grown the team. Now we have 5 on our team. So,
and you're in Gilbert, Arizona,
I'm in Gilbert.
How is that from Phoenix?
About 30 minutes southeast.
Okay. If you don't know Phoenix, how many? Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I'm super excited for this one, right? I definitely need like AI for dummies, right? Just before we even start, and I know Justin has another question. Is this really you that we're talking to?
Yep, I am not an avatar. It is really me. I could say potato. Yep, it's me.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Just making sure. Sorry, Justin.
No, I love it. That's a great question. Grok literally like yesterday released you can create a video from any image. Like
yeah.
Deep fakes are coming. So no, fantastic. So you're outside Phoenix. And here's an interesting thing, just for everyone on the call. How many agents do you have in your market?
50,000, 40,000.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of agents in Arizona.
So I've got like 6,000. So just when you have that idea of like, man, how am I doing this? Breaking in, this is competitive. Like Phoenix is a test case.
Yeah.
Like, of what happens in the rest of the world. It's like Phoenix, Vegas are coal mine for what's happening in the real estate industry. So let's talk about just AI. Let's just kind of set the stage of where we are right now with AI. If you want to, Kristen, give us just an overview. Set this thing up.
Yeah.
Go into some questions.
So the biggest thing is that AI itself has been around for a really long time, and it's been part of our phones. It's been part of our technology. It's been running in the background, and people just don't realize it. And so that's the artificial intelligence part. What's new and what everybody is talking about as AI is actually what's called generative AI or Gen AI. What it is it's actually a way that they've programmed these generative AIs. They basically predict what is going to come next in the sentence that fits the prompt you've asked. So that's why in the beginning we had so much hallucination and so much fake information. It's just predicting what the next logical word is that you want to hear. Easiest way to say it. It's still a computer program. It's a very powerful computer program that has been trained on massive amounts of data, but it's still just a computer program. And so every time we have these updates, we see the different changes to the model. Oops, someone's not on mute. We see the different changes to the models and the different way it will respond to you. And that's also why it feels like each type of generative AI that you use or large language model has its own voice, has its own feel, has its own flow, is because it's a matter of who programmed it and how they programmed it. So that's why Claude is going to feel different than ChatGPT. It's going to feel different than Grok. It's going to feel different than Perplexity, like each of them is going to have a different feel to them because of that.
So generative AI, it's a predictive
Mhm.
language model. So does that mean like an AI can't think?
I mean, it doesn't. Oh no, that's a rabbit hole we're not going down today, Justin.
Okay.
That's philosophical and too deep. But in reality, like, no, it's not a human. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't think necessarily the same way we do, but it does put ones and zeros together to make the sentence make sense. And so because of that, it can synthesize a lot of data. It can take in a lot of data. And then with the newest release of ChatGPT, which is GPT-5, we have a lot of new features too, which is really cool. You want me to launch into those?
No, I think so. And what I would say was interesting is you use the word synthesize, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this is if you took, you're a liberal arts major and you took philosophy or like the theory of mind, it's very helpful when you come to this stuff because we're talking about how to process, analyze, sort, and articulate information. So synthesization is like the ability for me to like incorporate lots of different information and synthesize it into like one platform, which the AIs do very well, right? Hey, give me a
Yes.
summary of what's happening in AI, and it can do it very well and tell you about other AIs. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love for you to launch into them.
So yeah, so I mean, the biggest talk right now, obviously, is last 2 weeks. ChatGPT has released what's called GPT-5. They've released multiple models over the last 2.5 years, and so GPT-5 is the newest. Funny enough, it's also the one that has gotten the most backlash from people, and I don't know if it's a combination of that actually has big errors in it, or there's just a lot more users now, and particularly newer users to it. And so we're hearing more about the things that went wrong with it. Because I remember when it first came out, and I remember GPT-2. And GPT-2 was pretty crappy. Like, we used it, we found our workarounds, we didn't complain on Reddit about it the way people are right now on GPT-5. So I would just say if you're seeing the news and you're seeing the backlash, take it with a grain of salt because there are so many more users now. Justin and I were talking yesterday that I feel like we're finally on the general acceptance of AI in everyday life, and that most people are using it now more than ever before. It's almost to that tipping point that they say of adoption. Not quite there, but getting really close. So with GPT-5 now, the other thing that just came out too is called projects. I absolutely love projects. For newer users, the thing that I love about them is that they're easier to set up than a custom GPT. They are great for organizing. It follows the custom instructions that you've set. It follows whatever directions you give it in that project. And so you can set these up for very specific needs in your business. So I have one that is strictly for writing email templates. I have another one that is strictly for doing my social media. I have one that is, I mean, as you said, marketing. Like, I have a project set up strictly for marketing ideas. These are things that we're doing in-house rather than hiring out now. And so that's what the great thing about projects is. They're almost as powerful as custom GPTs, but they can't be shared outside your own chat account. That's an easy way to say it.
Can I ask a dumb question? Here's my question, my
Mhm.
basic question. What is a GPT? What does that even stand?
Generative predictive text.
Okay, got it. Awesome. So when we say create like a GPT that can be shared, what does that even
It's
mean? Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a really good question. So in your ChatGPT accounts, you have some options for different ways to interact with it. And this goes for Claude, this goes for Perplexity, this goes for Grok. Like, they're all kind of the same in that regard. They all kind of played off each other. But basically, you have your own little chat boxes that you can have within your account of your large language model. And so if you create what's called a custom one, it's one that you have programmed with instructions to answer a certain set of questions, give certain information, or be very focused. So, like, there are GPTs out there in the library that you can use that others have created. They're almost like mini apps within the ChatGPT world. You can use one that's strictly for social media. You can use one that is for analyzing investments. There are some that are made after real estate coaches. You have so many options when it comes to choosing different GPTs that others have created. They're very cool. My only caution with those is you don't know who made them and you don't know how they're programmed. So just be very careful when choosing custom GPTs that you're using ones that have either a high rating or a high download use, because it'll tell you if they're very popular. Don't go looking and deep diving and finding one that has like 3 users. That's a little sketchy.
Kind of like the App Store, you know.
It's exactly like the App Store. Like, just be careful with what you're using.
I think for like, I'm sorry,
Oh,
Kristen, for like rookies and for new people that have ChatGPT, if they go to the like the top left corner and click those 2 lines, then it has like GPTs where you can go and find more, and then they're you can sort them like rated high to low, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Ooh, nice. I didn't know that, Joe.
There's a great question in the chat that actually leads exactly right into what I was going to talk about next, which is, are projects in ChatGPT similar to AI agents?
Ooh.
It's a great question, and I love it.
Double click on GPTs before we roll to that, because there's one thing
I
want to nail it, because Jorge says brand new.
Yeah.
And is the way I'm thinking about GPTs, and tell me if I'm crazy, is a GPT, if this is predictive text, it's a walk into a conversation that's already happening. Or it's like I'm in a 200 level class where like, well, no, we already covered the basics with this GPT agent, right? And so you don't have to like walk them through 101. Someone's done that for you, and now you can have a higher level conversation about real estate marketing instead of just marketing in general or something.
Yeah. It's also a really good way. What I usually tell people is, think of it as your smartest dumb assistant. It knows all the things. It has all the knowledge, but it doesn't know you and it doesn't know your business. And so you have to give it that direction, and you have to give it what's in your head for it to give you something back that is actually worthy of you using. So your input matters in order to get the output you desire. I mean, that's philosophical for life too. But absolutely, when it comes to large language models, the prompt you use matters. If we can, Justin, I would love to circle back to that and talk about like good prompting. Let me cover agents and projects, and then we can go back and give some like tips and tricks. So what's cool is projects are a folder. Think of it like a Google Drive, but with specific instructions. And so you can upload files and you can give it instructions. AI agents, which is the newest thing that is coming out, and people are starting to understand what that means, or it's also called agentic AI, basically it is an automated system that works on your behalf without your input. So where ChatGPT requires you to go step by step with it and say, I want an outline. Now I want this. Now I want you to write the paragraph. Now I want you to write the whole thing. Now I want you to design the layout. Like, you've got to go step by step with it. What an agent does, an AI agent will actually do the whole thing for you. It'll even go out to the internet. It'll pull different marketing things that you might need. It will pull graphics from different places. It might even look in your email box to see, oh, Justin sent me that email. It had the attachment that I needed. I'm going to go pull that. So it acts on your behalf without a human in the loop. And that kind of goes back to someone's question about Skynet. I mean, we're starting to allow AI into things and to put its fingers in pies and to connect the dots for us in really cool ways. So it is different. You can go into what's called agent mode when you are in ChatGPT. You can actually hook your email. You can connect your Google Drive. You can connect your Dropbox. There are many different ways that you can let ChatGPT into your systems to do things on your behalf. What I think is awesome is it will actually pop up a new window for you, and it will show you what the AI agent is doing. So it almost looks like a screen share when it does it. And so it will actually log in and do the things you want it to do. I have an agent who is using it to manage their email. I'm not there yet, but I adore that they did, and I totally picked their brain. They have it connected, so it will go in and it will summarize emails for them. It will tell them what emails need to be responded to that day, and it'll give them a list of essentially what do I need to know in my inbox in the next 30 seconds, which is really cool. I know different emails are also incorporating AI as well. So like Google has a whole bunch of Gemini going through their systems. And I'm a Google user, so I adore that Gemini is kind of built into all the things I use now. And I think it's really awesome.
I use there's AI in so many products. Speaking of that, right? We've got like Fixer in there. I use Otter for recording. It's always in transcription. The other day, I record my buyer's consultations, and I went in there and I started querying the conversation for specific answers. Does this property have any updates? No, there's no updates, but he did say the photos were crappy. Like, and so I think there's some that was pretty interesting in terms of, again, summary, synthesis, like it's pretty incredible already. We may have skimmed it. What's an AI agent or agentic AI? Like, what does that even mean as like opposed to like, I like to use AI. I was asking it questions last night about um, summarizing like immigration numbers in the US. What's an AI agent?
So what you did was you asked a question and it gave you an answer, and that was it. It was just a question and answer text conversation. So that's your generative AI chat type of AI. So an AI agent instead actually will work on your behalf. So it can go out to the internet on your behalf. So it can do things for you without you sitting right there and doing it. And some of these tasks may take longer. So you might be asking your agent to build you an app, and it can code for you. So it will sit and it will code, and then it might say, like, you might give it permissions to pull files from your Google Drive as needed. So it will actually follow multi-step information. I think it's still best to go step by step, even with agents, just because there is so much error still. But that is where this is going. It is essentially having a digital assistant. So just like you can give your assistant a task list and say, hey, take care of these by the end of the day, that's where you can do with AI.
The way I think about it, and tell me if I'm crazy, is I've been able to use generative AI to give me kind of high level, what's the best flight to Manhattan, taking into account subway travel to the specific borough I'm looking to go to. Because that's a multi-step.
With your agentic, you could then say, hey, find the best deal, book the best deal, send me the details to my email. And also while you're at it, make me dinner reservations for Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the best Mexican restaurant in this city.
So,
it can do
that's
all of that for you.
The interaction. So the agent part now is that the AI can go, instead of just gathering that information, it can go interact with the world.
Exactly.
On my behalf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can go out and click things on your behalf and open up different browsers and compare. And it can compare a whole lot faster than you do as a human. And it looks in places you probably wouldn't look, because it's not just going to what's top ranked on Google. It's digging into other ways and different things in its search mode.
Before we get to prompting, would it be helpful if we kind of had a quick conversation about just the different AIs that are out there? Because there is sometimes I'm like, I have paid subscriptions to multiple ones right now and access to others. And like, I've got Perplexity. I've obviously got Grok because I'm on Twitter. I've got ChatGPT, a pro account over there for $5. I don't know what if anyone else is playing with Claude. Can you protect your user ID and password, Jorge?
That's an amazing question. And yes, I absolutely tell people set up 2-factor authentication on ChatGPT, because you're putting sensitive information in it. Absolutely. You don't want your account to be compromised.
What's 2-factor authentication?
That's where it basically sends you a code if you are not logged into the place where you usually are logged in. So like Apple has it automatically, Android has it automatically. Most email, pretty much everybody should have it turned on for email, so that sort of thing. And Jorge, I think you're asking, can you protect your user ID and password when you like basically link it? I am still leery about that. And that's exactly one of my questions too, is if I give over my username and password to these accounts, where does it sit in OpenAI's data and their security? Which is why I'm not willing to give it my email yet. I told Justin yesterday that I'm setting up a fake email account this weekend and letting it play in that. And I'm just going to subscribe to a bunch of spam stuff and just see what it can do. Because I won't care if it has that information. But I want to test it. I want to see what this does. So yeah, in that case, don't use the same password for everything. Like really, truly, yeah. Use a password keeper of some kind that you can change on a whim. So that way you can stay up to date on that. That'll protect you better than trying to figure out what a password is that you want to use.
You know what I just thought of was, if we're going to reason by analogy, there's, like, how many people held out to the Patriot Act illegally accessing your information? It was like one provider, and then like LeVar Levinson had Edward Snowden's email out and he shut it down. There's one other company that really gave them what for, I think it would have been, I have to go look at who was really, everyone else just shared their information. Again, this is the next form of this, of like, is there going to be a backdoor into all of your information? Who do you trust with that information, of the technocrats that are running things? It's an interesting thing to think about.
There are so many philosophical things coming out because of AI. Like there's a huge copyright case that's actually being not decided yet, but gathering information against Anthropic. It's a class action suit, and they're saying that it could hold 7 million members in the class. And if it were to go to court, and if that class action won as a copyright issue, AI as we know it would be gone. And that's crazy to me, that it's working its way through the courts now. So
we have to have another one of these, Kristen. We talk about philosophical stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm in. So
data privacy and universal income.
Oh my gosh, all the things.
Yeah. So any suggestions on, like, so I use Perplexity, for example, which seems to be really research focused, and it just gives me better, different information. It's not, whenever I try to ask it for something that ChatGPT crushes, it kind of stalls out on me when I'm like, can you go do this? But when I ask it a research question, what Perplexity does, if anyone hasn't used it, it is very good at researching and showing sources, like your works cited. So it'll go through scholarly data, everything else, with hyperlinks to exactly what they're quoting. So it's great for research to find primary sources, where I can go, oh, cool, here's the info. Any suggestions on, like, there's so many out there right now. Like, how do I pick one to start playing with?
Like I said, it kind of goes to what's your workspace already, and what tone are you looking for, and or what are you using it for? So like Claude is great for a lot of things. I don't feel like it's as creative as ChatGPT is in some of its like marketing efforts. But for a lot of other things, Claude is fantastic at generating text and emails. And I actually use Claude to prompt ChatGPT sometimes. So I make one robot program the other, which is really, really fun too. Perplexity is exactly what you said. It's an AI powered search engine. That's just what it does. Grok, I don't play with Grok because I have too many others that I play with. But I know from people that they really like the image capabilities that Grok has, and they find some of its answers to be less filtered. And so they appreciate that as well. And then you've got Gemini, of course. Google's Gemini is actually getting a lot better than it used to. Google is really trying to keep up with OpenAI and all the things that they're doing. But Google also goes wider because Google has their workspace. And so you've got Gemini integrated into your Gmail. You've got what's called Google LM. So you actually can create a notebook of sorts. which is really neat. I like using that for very specific information gathering, and then blog writing, market reports. Y'all would love it for like analyzing investment data or digging into investment data. Think of it like if you did a Google search and you pulled up the 10 best things on the topic that you're talking about, and then you had an expert learn them, and then you interviewed that expert. That's what a NotebookLM is good for. So it's really good at digging into that data and trying to put point A to point B. It also has a feature where you can create a study guide, you can create timelines, and you can create AI voiced podcast episodes. So
I have a question. Can I jump in real fast?
Oh, please.
I'm a practical guy. And so, Kristen, give me an example of how you're saving time in your agent business using this new model, right? That would be one. Like,
okay.
How do you save time, right? And then the second one would be, how do you generate business using this new model, right? So there might be a marketing perspective, and walk me kind of like step by step, because what we want to do is we want to have people save time, right? Because there's a lot that it could do, but like one practical application.
Yeah.
And then we want to help people make money. One practical application.
Okay. So both of those for y'all, with especially with your investments, having it analyze deals for you, having it analyze portfolios for you. That is, you can have an entire project set up just for that. You could have an entire GPT set up just for that, or you could just have a conversation. So if you're a beginner at AI, a conversation works just fine. But what you can do is you can go through, if you are a proven agent and you have a lot of investments already, you can actually show it your portfolio. You can show it what you're doing and what you're making. And then you can have it analyze future deals against what you already have. And you can basically say, hey, if I purchase this, or if I go into this, or if I invest this, how does that compare with what I already have? And does it enhance what I already have, or will it minimize what I'm doing? Does it create more risk? You can ask it all of those questions. That's
great.
Yeah. So, and I know you guys have an amazing amount of tools at your disposal. Justin and I were talking about that yesterday. Using NotebookLM with those tools, y'all can upload like your PDFs. You can upload any of your YouTube videos. You can talk about, Google LM is great because it's all sorts of media, not just text-based. So in that regard, it's really neat. You can pull transcripts from YouTube videos too, and put those into the text-based models. When you do that, now you've opened up all of YouTube for information for yourself as well. So that's going to save you both time and money, because you're not having to sit and analyze these by hand. You're using your AI assistant to help you. Additionally, like you said, marketing is huge. Blogging is not dead. People don't understand that. But if you want to get found on Google, if you want to get found by these AIs, because there are people looking in the language models for agents. They're using them instead of Google. Instead of going to the internet, they're pulling up their chat partner and saying, hey, who's the best agent in my market? Hey, who can help me find the best deal? So if you want to be found, you need to have more text everywhere. So that means that if you're uploading YouTube videos, you need to have captions. You need to have your short links. You need to have your long links. You need to have all of those set up properly. ChatGPT can help with all of those. You can say, hey, I want to optimize this for an AI search. What do I need to include? And then blogging, like I said, too, writing articles. Have your chat partner help you write articles about all the things that you know, about all the things you're an expert in, and then have it include those long tail keywords, short tail keywords, all the things that you need. Repurpose content. There's another way to save time. Repurpose stuff you already have. You have a YouTube video up? Awesome. use Opus Clip AI to make short form content out of it and put that all over your social media. If you've still got that YouTube video, pull that transcript, tell it to write you a blog, tell it to write you a LinkedIn article, put that on LinkedIn, tell it to optimize each of these pieces for the platform that you're putting it to. Because each platform has its own vibe, it has its own rules, it has its own algorithm. You want to optimize for each of those. And so take one piece of content, and I guarantee you can turn it into 10 to 20 things.
So I love this, you know, to go back, because we breeze through a lot. What I love about that too is if you feel little, there's a transcript of this. We breeze through such high level, like here's how to do blogs at a high level. Here's how to do SEO. Here's how to, there's so many facets to the game. And it is like, I can interact with this system to do so. So distribution, we can crush that. And Rob, it's the 4Cs model we talk about, right? Create content that creates conversation, that leads to a connection, that leads to a closing. We're still creating this content. This is like, right, this vibe we have. And I think the more we do this, the more you're going to find your individual voice, right, Rob, is what's important. And then how am I distributing that at a high level? So I think we covered maybe how to make money. What's your follow-up question, Rob?
Well, one of our big pain points, and I just want to see if Kristen has any advice on this, is writing contracts, right?
Yeah.
Agents in the field, like wanting to get contracts written for them quickly. There's a lot of companies charging a lot of money to build GPTs for that. But like, have you cracked that nut yet, Kristen? Are you doing that?
I haven't. I have an amazing director of operations, so I lean on humans still for that. However, agentic AI is going to probably be that solution. It's not quite there yet, but it's almost there. I do know that like other things like DocuSign now has an AI model, an AI tool built in. It won't be long before you can just talk to DocuSign and basically fill in the blanks. And it's going to have your template, and you're just going to say, hey, buyer's name is this. Here's what they're offering. Here's the details. Fill in this part with this number. I mean, that's coming, and that's where we'll be very soon.
Which is one of the reasons why, Kristen, I'm so hesitant on spending money with people that are building some of these tools right now, right? Because I'm like, in 3 months, in 4 months, like there's literally it will all change, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, GPT-5 came out and killed a large amount of people's GPTs. The custom GPTs that people had built on the other models, they had workarounds in them to get over the model's quirks and get around some of the model's limitations. And when GPT came out, a ton of those instructions were no longer necessary. And so instead, it just mucked up the system. And so their GPT basically died until they reprogram it. So that was a big thing this week.
If I may, Rob, and we'll come back, I want to make sure, thinking about this through the lens of the newcomer, like, and how do I write prompts correctly? Because if I'm not writing prompts correctly, all of this other stuff
it doesn't matter. You're right.
Exactly. I'm still stuck at the beginning of like, I'm standing at the door of all this technology. And I think that's a lot. So what we're having, just to put this out there, is this is like any other service where you have people that are your social media manager, right?
Yeah.
I'm hiring someone to post on social for me when I could go on YouTube University. There's free masterminds. We've had people on here. You could do this yourself. GPT will become another thing where you're paying AIs, where I'm paying someone else to do this stuff for me if I don't learn how to interact with it on some level. So let's maybe talk about prompting.
Absolutely.
That prompting might flow into some of I think is a bigger question of how is it using to save my time? Because if I could prompt correctly, right? Like my AI could tell me exactly how it can save me time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right? I can interact with the AI and here's my schedule and what should I be giving to you?
I do that all the time. Awesome. I have ChatGPT write my schedule for the day. So the easiest way to think about prompting is, again, you have at your disposal a highly intelligent, extremely knowledgeable tool, but you need to narrow its scope of focus. It needs to know about you, it needs to know about your business, and it needs to know what you're trying to get out of it at the end. So for a beginner, and actually for some people who have been using it for a while, one of the best things to do to it is to give it a job, give it a role, tell it an industry. So again, you're a real estate marketing expert. This has been something that we've talked about since the beginning, and even though a lot of other things regarding prompting have changed, this piece still proves to be one of the most powerful ways. Oh, that's a good question too. I will totally come back to that one, Drew. So yeah, so you have to give it
something, Kristen.
Do what?
There's something that I think I could, if I can tag, I think you're going there. It's a natural language model.
Yeah.
Giving it a job is like when you speak to it in that way, it's easier for the model to interact with us, right?
Right.
Instead of like trying to talk to it like I'm talking to a computer.
Yeah, or think of talking to a professor. You're talking to a professor who knows so much stuff, but you're not giving them a narrow scope of focus. They're just going to ramble on and try to answer your question in the best way they think that you're asking it. So for me, it's giving it a job. It's giving it the task at hand with some context. So you need to give it some background information for what you're trying to do. And then the last thing is give it exactly what you want out of it. So it might be, let me give you an example too, because it's easier. So talking about social media, because that is what a lot of people, kind of the gateway for ChatGPT. And Drew, that kind of answers into yours too. Where does a beginner start? I just say start with social media because that's kind of the easiest thing. So you're going to say act as a social media expert. The next thing would be if you've got your custom instructions set up, you don't have to tell it what industry you're in. But if you haven't done that yet, I'm in real estate. I want to optimize my Instagram profile. You can then upload a screenshot of your Instagram and say, what do I need to change on my Instagram to make it more ideal for my ideal audience? And then give it who your ideal audience is. Additionally, if you don't know who your ideal audience is, go through that exercise with ChatGPT. I want to focus on social media as a lead gen source. Who should I be talking to? Who is my ideal audience? Here's the type of deals I like to do. What is my tone to this audience? Help me create content for the next 30 days. There's so many ways that you can write this prompt, but the biggest one is give it the job first, give it context, and then tell it what you want. So I always come back with, I want a bullet pointed list. I want a script where I'm talking to the camera. I want a PDF report. I want a table. Whatever your format is that you want, you can tell your large language model to give it to you that way. And so I feel like that's where a lot of people miss. And then the last one is ask it questions. So if you really don't know, you're like, oh, shoot, I don't know how to do this. Just ask it. With GPT-5, it's a much more intuitive than it used to be. And so it might even be that some of the things that I'm saying as prompt engineering might disappear in 6 months. But for now, you can say, hey, ChatGPT, I really want to make my social media awesome for my real estate business. What are some prompts I can ask you? Or what are some things that we can work together on? And it'll give you ideas of what you can do. So if you can't think of them, ChatGPT can.
Thanks.
So,
and then to Drew's point, how does a beginner start? You just start, honestly. Start a chat thread and start talking to it. You're going to start to figure out what works and what doesn't for you. In the saving time, though, if you have a good, strong amount of information in your first prompt, it will require less editing on the backside.
Would you have a specific brand you would use? Sorry, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, honestly, I usually tell people start with ChatGPT because it's kind of the most prevalent. It's been around for 2.5 years, and there's a lot of tutorials, TikToks, Instagram videos, like things you can learn for free. There's a ton of them out there. And then if you want to join our group, it's ChatGPT and AI Mastermind for real estate. I post free content in there often, and so I'll talk about prompting. I'll talk about different things that people have done, things that work, things that don't. So we mastermind. And then this fall, I'll be having some more webinars as well.
Kristen, do you have to go, or do you have a few minutes to stay with us?
I'm good. Justin, I'm
questions.
usually sleeping right now, so we're good.
I love it. Kristen got up literally before sunrise to join us here. So Cherie asked a question, and we can fork in a couple directions. And yeah, Nick, I'll jump in here in a second here. So she asked, what about the ability of customers to talk to like a customer service agent?
Okay.
Right. And I think, yes, there's some interesting, man, you almost need to talk about the philosophy. It needs to be like a 2-hour thing, because so much of it helps up, like, to give context. If you have better context of what solutions AI is being used for,
yeah,
AI is going to revolutionize customer service.
It will. So here's the thing. The general public is still scared of it. I mean, they are. They don't, a lot of people don't know what it is. They hear the scary news. They don't hear the good news. They aren't business owners using it every day. I mean, they know that it's there, and they know that people use it. So I would just say, know your client base. If your client base is entrepreneurs who are techie, AI voice is going to be a cool thing. They'll actually kind of get a kick out of it. I called a real estate agent in another state the other day, and their voicemail was AI powered, and it literally said, "Hi, this is Josh, agent's AI assistant. How can I help you?" And I'm like, "What? This is cool." And I'm like, "I just want to leave a voicemail." And it says, "Okay, no problem. Go ahead and leave a voicemail. Is there anything else I can help you with?" That was wild to me. And I'm in tech and I'm in AI. And I thought that was like, it was cool. But a lot of clients may not be there, and they might be turned off by it. So just be careful when you do it. But there are tools out there, and they are pretty awesome. You're muted, Justin.
2 tools I can think of right now. Tristan Ahumada, that runs Lab Code Agents, dropped a broker bot that they've created, which is like a broker you could talk to. I called this broker, and the broker gave me, I was asking it some niche questions. It gave me some questions that were pretty interesting. And then Speculo.ai, Riley Vanderkay is in there, and Bobby Moats, who used to run Keller Williams Labs, is running this. They have an AI bot that will call you when you convert a lead. So they're calling people at like 1 a.m. It's wild stuff. And people are answering the phone and having conversations at 1 a.m. We're living in an on-demand society. This AI agent, I asked it some questions. It was interesting. I could tell that it was an AI, and yet it was responding in a way, Kristen, to me, where it was going, "Okay, you want to know about specific repairs? Yeah. When Justin calls you, we'll talk about specific repairs, and we'll go through the listing process." Like, I asked it natural language questions. It came back. It responded to what I was saying in an intuitive enough way that it wasn't frustrating. Like, as an between conversion, I think there's something.
Absolutely.
Like, lead to speed. I think that's gonna just be a norm in the
And
industry.
I think people are used to the texting with chatbots at this point, where like a year ago they might not have been, and they might have been turned off by that. So I don't think it's not far off for them to be okay talking to the voice AIs soon. I just don't know that the public is there yet.
What's your question, Sheree?
Hi, thanks so much for today's conversation. Yeah, Justin kind of led into it, like speed to lead and things like that. I was looking at, so I'm a lender, and I was looking at a post from a realtor that said, if my lender doesn't respond at 8 p.m., then they're not a good lender. And, you know, there was a very lively comment section with regards to that. Like, how do you balance,
Yeah.
personal life and speed to lead, as Justin was talking about. So I wanted to also get your philosophical thought. Like, the 60-second version is fine with regards to that. My biggest concern is if we don't get on these tools fast, are we going to be left behind? Because you do have the person that wants to talk at 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I personally am in bed by that time.
Yeah. So one thing that I've seen some people do is that they're essentially creating, like I said, chatbots that are programmed with their business and kind of their voice. So it would sound not necessarily like them, but like an assistant to them. And then they tell their clients, hey, I turn my phone off at 7 p.m. However, if you have questions that aren't super urgent, but are just burning in your brain, you can talk to my chat assistant and they'll walk you through those. So these are things that, like, first time buyers who are up at night thinking about, oh, what are the steps in the process? And what is this? And what is that? Or what are these definitions and whatever else? You can essentially have those questions answered. And then as a lender for you, I don't know that it's there yet, but I mean, the type of questions that people typically would ask at that time would be like pre-qualifying. Philosophically, I don't think there's anybody that needs to really have conversations at 9 o'clock at night unless they work graveyard. And then I'm okay with it. And that's a preemptive conversation we've already had. But otherwise, generally, real estate is not life and death, and we can turn our phones off. Like, we should be able to. But that's philosophically. And so, but really, you're not far off. There is definitely a way and a tool for you to be able to be on without actually being on. So yeah, and part of that might be automation. Part of that might be a combination of agents and chatbots, and part of that might be voice. I mean, there's definitely a solution. What you got, Justin?
I just pulled up a GPT for a mortgage lender expert.
Perfect.
I think a lot of this stuff, though, to your point, Sheree, and I love the question, it is more about figuring out the type of business I want to have. Because why, like, I work with some lenders, and what are they doing? They're like, hey, I've got this tool where you can go in and on demand, you can adjust the pre-approval up to the maximum. I'm not available all the time, but this is available on the weekend. So this is just another version of a more dynamic version of what good lenders like yourself are already doing. Pre-arming, here's the information. No, I think that is kind of helpful. Play with this. And what did it do? It immediately basically started asking me application questions. So I think there is some good, I think what most people just want to know is, like, do I have something in the process now?
Yeah.
I've lost the ability to wait.
That's you've hit the nail on the head, Justin. It's an immediate society. Everybody wants instant gratification. They don't want to wait. And there's always going to be somebody willing to jump for them. And so they're just going to look for that person.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide, are you that person to do it yourself? Will you have a tool for them? Or will you say, sorry, these are my business hours. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Because there's clients who will respect that more than they would being on demand. So that's the beauty of our business. You get to decide how you do it.
Yep. And then I saw your question, Sandra. I think we're going to end on that because it's a great question. But Nick has been DMing. He said he can share a story.
We could
Nick runs our
end on a story.
Our grid investor group out there. And I love this. So Kristen, this is an interesting mix. We got agents like yourself all over. We had 46 people here at one point.
Awesome.
So some of them are agents, that are familiar with grid. Some have no idea that we run like these investor meetups all over the country. Nick runs the one in LA, from DC. Before, he ran one in DC. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, Justin? Thanks again, Kristen. When I first met Justin, we were at a conference. Maybe it was in 2017, or maybe it was 2019. I don't remember. But he had his phone out when Rob was talking about 7 levels. Had to be 2019. And, Justin was all over the place and had ideas and was engaging. He just had joined Grid. And I was like, what is he doing? He has his phone on. It's going to die. For 40 minutes, Rob was talking. He had his phone on and it was transcribing everything that Rob had. And then he's like, dude, you got to do this. It basically takes notes for you. So that was like the first form of AI, and Justin was on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited. Justin is closing the loop and still on, since 2019 in AI. So excited. And I think, what I learned about that story is you have to try it, and you got to always be testing is a phrase. You always be testing these free tools so you know what's works. I tested this AI bot. I think it's metabolic or metabolism AI. It's AI agents, and basically it was too quick for me. It did too much. It was very stressful. So talk about things like right away. These AI agents are just like in my inbox, sending out lead generating stuff, and then you're getting replies. They were like, dude, I haven't worked at this company in 7 years. So I learned quickly, like, hey, some AI is just too much to handle right now. But always glad to be in a group that's testing, always be testing. And Justin is your spokesman because he has been testing since 2019 or whenever it was. So thank you guys.
You're very welcome. And I would share, if you're on the call, like the biggest thing that I have found in my life is in our game, it's all you have to figure out is what room do I have to be in? If you can start discerning what room do I have to be in to land on Sandra's question, everything else becomes easier and necessary. So Nick runs this investor meeting. We create communities because it's just like we're both part of a national, Keller Williams. It's like, man, if you went to the rooms we were in and you sat in this room with this person teaching, surrounded by these other people, this game just seems so obvious and intuitive and so easy because like there's 50 people in the audience that are all experts and people asking questions on the stage and everyone's willing to share information and help you. It's very easy to be like, oh, cool. All right. Yeah. Hey, just got back from this conference. Yeah. Don't worry about Grok and blah, blah. All we got to do is use this one tool. I talked to 15 people and they kind of iterated it for me. So Sandra asked the question. You can come on camera if you want, Sandra, but just, hey, if I'm a beginner, what would I recommend? Right? To how do I get started with prompt engineering? Are there places I can go and courses I could take to learn about this? I would share what I saw. The reason why Kristen and Dylan had this group was they just started it, right? And they
That's
were
really
like
it.
first mover advantage. That's how you became an expert on it. I didn't know that Kristen was an expert on AI. I just know Kristen had a group, and I was like, well, she must know what she's talking about. She's leading this group, right? And there's some background.
I love that. I still am in awe that like I get to speak to people about this because really, truly, I just goof around. Like I feel like most of the time I'm just goofing around with it because I'm a naturally curious person and I'm like, well, does it do this? How do I do that? Can I do that? Can I try that? So that's really how this all started was just seeing what it could do and then going from there and saying, okay, well, what else can it do? Okay, well, what else can it do? Okay, well, what about this? And so to your point for questions, I am self-taught. I mean, YouTube University, there are some really amazing Facebook groups. One that I'm part of is probably one of the largest. There's a guy named Jonathan Mast. He's awesome. He's not in the real estate space. He's in the AI for entrepreneurs space. But he breaks it down in a way that makes it super easy for beginners. And he has a lot of prompts in his group that you can just go copy and paste. So if you see something that you're like, "Ooh, I'll try that," you try it, you're like, "Well, that was close, not quite." You can tweak it and make it your own. So while you're learning, I mean, it's that rip off and duplicate while you're still learning before you can make it your own. So
And there's a lesson from you that I think is great, which is you have someone that helped you start this group and you
yeah,
take the day-to-day running of the group pretty much. Now he has a background in computer science, graduate school, right? And so started off, it was like, oh, cool, there's this expert group. And yet, like it turns out like what leading a community about is more about like the community part of it and leading it and sharing and participating than being an expert. But because there's an expert there, it's like, oh, cool, I can jump in and like
yeah.
participate in this group, and it turns out like, oh, I've seen the same thing with teaching about investing. Corey's on here, right, Corey? When we launched Grid here, Corey had flipped some lots and he had moved into a fixer-upper and turned his first house into a rental, right? And now the hundreds of sales later and multiple properties and all this other stuff, people are like, oh yeah, Corey's like this investing X. No, it was like community, having some structure around me, having some tools and resources, right? Like to grow into the thing, but I got to start creating conversations around it. So
Yeah. And like you said, it's the rooms that you're in. So if somebody's offering a free AI class, take it. I mean, hop on the Zoom, listen in the background, get a couple of things off of that. Then another one that pops up, take that one too. You might get a couple other tidbits from it. And then at that point, you're like, oh, well, I'm going to connect the dots between these two things that I learned from these two different courses. And now I have a whole new revenue stream that I hadn't thought of before.
I,
So that's the big thing. Almost all of us are self-taught because AI is changing so rapidly. Like I've written a number of courses to sell and or give. By the time I finish the course, things are changing. And so I've finished writing courses and now I just do webinars and coaching because it's easier.
so I love that. It's philosophy. And if you want something to specifically apply, Blake, I just saw this in the chat. Blake dropped in. He's building an AI, powered investment analyzer we've been playing and chatting with about. So I'm gonna connect him with you, Kristen. But Blake dropped in some tools that Google has on prompt engineering. Tell me if this is anyone else done this. I have played with AI and asked it to take on the role of a prompt engineer to
Mhm,
help me create a prompt.
mhm.
That's what I did. It was like, so start from there. Hey, you are a prompt engineer. Help me to create a prompt that will do this. And then it just asks me questions. And then I talk to it enough where I'm like, okay, cool. I think I have this prompt. Let me copy and paste this prompt into this other system and see what happens.
Yeah. And for anybody who's brand new and wants practical applications for like, how do I set up a project? How do I do custom instructions? You can ask your chatbot to do it, or you can message me and I'm happy to give you some resources. I have lots of links in my library that I'm happy to share on how to do different things.
But the simplest answer would be I would join Kristen's group. Like often when we're bringing people in here, it's the same ever. It's always success through people, success through relationships. Kristen also happens to be an incredible agent. Like, just is a great referral partner, has a giant network, has tons of social capital, right? That's one of those things of like, I'm just really intentional. It's like I can find a lot of people. Can I find someone who's an expert and also cool and wants to be my friend? Done. Like then you go a lot farther, a lot faster. I find like, right, how we collaboration over competition. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate you doing this so much. We've dropped the link a couple of times. If you're on here, we're going to email you this. Um, if you've got questions for Kristen, did we drop her socials in there too, Julianne?
They're
She's
in the
easy to
chat.
find. But the best thing you could do, I would imagine, right, Kristen, would be go into the group and make a post. That's how you could reward Kristen is go in and engage. Ask your questions. Ask your 101 questions. It'd be great. The 10,000 people in there, I'm sure lots of them have 101 questions and they would love someone to go ask that question so they can engage and watch passively. That's what I find.
I would love that. The group got quiet over summer because, travel and all the fun things. So we're ramping up for the fall. I would love if you came in and asked questions and created some engagement.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Go take some territory on this Take Territory Tuesday.